Marlee Rabel, and I'm from the United States. Washington State in particular is where I grew up and went to school. And I am here in Australia doing a project about incarceration, but also about sort of carceral systems generally, as this is part of a trip where I'm going to multiple countries around the world and looking at their justice systems. And so, I'm starting in Australia, and then I'll be going to Argentina after that, and hopefully we'll be going to another country afterwards, but not quite sure yet where that will be. And in each country, I had the idea sort of to look at something specific there. And so in Australia, I was really surprised to see the pretty outrageous incarceration rates for Indigenous people. Yeah. And so that was something that I wanted to look into, mostly because in the U.S. we also incarcerate, minorities at incredibly high rates. So I thought that would be sort of a good comparison. And I was interested in what was going on there. That being said, since I've come here, I've also just been focusing on the justice system generally. So getting lots of great information about that topic in particular, Indigenous incarceration, but also just, to me, everything in the justice system is sort of interconnected, whether we're talking about, you could talk about the police, the courts, prisons, jails, juvenile justice. You could talk about the back end, which is, people coming out of prisons, programs involved with people coming out of prisons, sort of reintegration. So those are just to mention a few things. And so generally I'm looking at all of those things and have been talking with a lot of people that have expertise in many of these areas.
And it's that, so it sounds like our show, radio show.
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
One person travelling.
Yeah, no, actually, I feel like you all have been quite an inspiration to me.
Thanks.
So, but just fortunately, I can kind of go across country borders and hopefully get even more of an international perspective and maybe make some connections there. So
in your in your eyes or in your way of looking that the incarceration of Indigenous people, is that how would you compare that to America with Native American people and people of colour?
Yeah, definitely. That's a complicated question, obviously one that I came to sort of look at and answer. And I've only been here for a month so far, and I have 3 months here. So, just started sort of unraveling a bit of what's going on. I feel like a few things that I've learned so far that feel important are sort of the history of these two countries, the U.S. and Australia. And just especially looking back, I feel like a lot of what I've done in the first month in Australia is learning about the settler colonialist history that sort of set in motion the continued incarceration of the First Peoples of Australia. And because ever since a colonialist arrived on the shore, basically there's been incarceration and killing and violence of the Indigenous people. And so to me, it seems like a lot of it goes back to that and continues on in sort of experienced trauma today as well. Yeah. And racism within the justice system that continues to be carried out. And so this is a little bit similar to the U.S., and we have obviously a terrible history in terms of massive slavery of people in the U.S. And so if anyone has read Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow or things like that, knowing about how we've kind of systematically moved from slavery to segregation laws, Jim Crow laws, and then now we sort of use our incarceration system in the U.S. to continue that form of slavery for African Americans and minorities. So definitely seeing some important similarities, I guess, in terms of how you need to know something about the history of a country and a place, I think, to learn about their current justice systems.
Yeah. I just came up with this question. This came up in my head. You don't have to answer. Just like, to me, colonialism is the prison system, or justice system, is sort of interconnected in a way. People colonised Australia, then they put jails here, and then the whole system, blah blah blah, goes round and round.
Yeah.
And it's like, before there was nothing like that before. Colonised. I was just wondering about that. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I can speak to it super well, but just talking about, I mean, especially one of the biggest things is like when colonialists showed up both in the U.S. and in Australia, they brought with them, a Western legal system, sort of. And that has been imposed upon the people of, both of these countries. They were here before colonialists, and has been used, in order to facilitate a lot of violence. That's just one observation, I feel like. And the other observation that I wanted to make on that is, too, that prisons and prison systems, in the way that I think most people think about them modernly, we're talking about like big brick walls and razor wires and things like that. That sort of idea of the prison is actually a pretty modern concept within the last couple hundred years, right? So, going back to what you're talking about, before colonialists showed up in either of these places, there was no such thing as the modern penitentiary system.
Yeah, right.
So it's just another thing. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've experienced so far with interviews and?
Yeah. Good question. I've had a lot of interviews, though, so I'm kind of like, I'm trying to think of some of maybe the most pertinent or interesting things. I mean, I've had the opportunity to talk to people, about policing in Australia. That was actually just recently. And how, as far as racial profiling in policing is not highly acknowledged here in Australia yet. And so there's a lot of work, it seems like, to be done in terms of changing policing practices. I talked with someone, looking at mentorship and how you can use potentially people who have come out of prison and made it, not gone back to prison, in order to mentor people who are coming out of prison. I've talked to some people in the abolitionist sort of scene and heard what they had to, the great insights they had, about sort of an abolitionist perspective on prisons. I don't know, I could just go on, on and on.
Do it.
Let me think of some of my other conversations. I met with someone, an Aboriginal man, who talked about a program that he ran with an Aboriginal elder in all of the prisons of Victoria, where they would go in.
Wow.
And, where it was sort of a cultural program where it was 3 days really intense of sort of working with and reconnecting Indigenous people who are incarcerated with their culture and sort of getting to their emotions and, really trying to address some of these things in the prisons. And so he was really inspiring to talk to. And then also talking about his current work in the health system and sort of the Closing the Gap campaign. And it really struck me too, just again in that interview, sort of how, to me, all of these things seem to be interconnected. You can look at something like health and the healthcare system, but you can also see in some ways how that's connected to incarceration and how in all of these different areas you can see the effects of sort of systemic racism, right, and the trauma that has been sort of inflicted on the communities and the continual way that it seems like the government is using policies to, I don't know the right word, but the government is using policies in order, it does not help the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people, I guess, of Australia, as far as I've seen, and kind of keeps them in a cycle of poverty often, and that's not to say there's a lot of resistance and resilience within those communities, but that's what I've seen so far in a lot of government policies, it seems like. So.
Oh, right. Did you study anything yourself? Like, what inspired you to do this project?
Great question. I feel like that's a long answer, but I guess to try to keep it kind of brief. So 5 years ago, I went to school, university, I guess you would call it here, in Walla Walla, Washington, which is sort of a rural community in eastern Washington where the end-of-the-line penitentiary is for Washington State. So that means it's a maximum security, all-male prison, and it has...
it's in that same town.
It is.
Went to school.
It's in the same town, and so death row is also there because in the States we still have the death penalty.
Yeah.
So anyway, I happened to go to school in this community, not even knowing when I went to school that this prison existed. Really, it was just sort of one of those things in the back of your mind. But when I got there, I happened to take a class that was a sociology class on prisons and punishment. And from there, I just learning even a bit about the prison system and about the Washington State Penitentiary, I was like, I need to know more about this. And so since then, I have pretty much dedicated the last 5 years of my life to the topic generally of incarceration. And so that's involved things like I worked in Washington State to abolish the death penalty on abolition campaign there. I worked with a nonprofit called the STAR Project, which is the Successful Transition and Reentry Project in Walla Walla, which is all about helping people who have been previously incarcerated to come back into society. And so it's, helping them find housing, pay rent, get a job, supporting them in that general transition. So I had the chance to work with people there.
Was that just volunteering or?
It was an internship.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. As was the Washington Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. Those were both internships.
Oh, wow.
I also got involved in doing research, an oral history of the Washington State Penitentiary. Yeah. And from there did my thesis research doing a women's oral history of the Washington State Penitentiary.
Right.
And that involved talking with women correctional officers and staff who had worked at the penitentiary there. And then I'm actually currently writing a book with my professor, Keith Farrington, cool. Based on those interviews, actually, that we did. So I know...
Here in Australia, the ones you're doing now? All the interviews?
Based on the ones... These were in Walla Walla, Washington as well. Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, and then I'm trying to think. I've just done a lot. Oh, yeah. I did my study abroad in Nicaragua. And so while I was there, I did a month-long research project about mediation in rural communities. And so I was living in a rural community in northern Nicaragua with a mediator. And what it's all about is that a lot of these rural communities don't really have access to the justice system, because even taking a bus to the police station is much more expensive than anyone can afford. And so a lot of times conflicts will grow and escalate in the communities, and there can be violence as things don't get resolved. And so in Nicaragua and in other Central and Southern American countries, there's been a push to train community leaders in mediation techniques so that people within these communities can come to a community leader and sort of resolve these conflicts before they escalate, which is what ends up happening a lot of times. So that really was my first sort of global perspective on sort of justice and justice systems. And there's a lot of other things I can mention, but those were probably, all of those were some of the most formative and important in the last number of years that I've been working on.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen in the future? Like, what's the outcome of your project?
Sure.
Blog.
So I am making a podcast. That's one of the main outcomes, I suppose. It's called Carceral Complex, if anyone wants to take a listen. But it's not out yet. But I've been doing a lot of interviews with people, like I was mentioning before. Those people that I was talking about are all interviews that hopefully, they will be coming out on podcasts at some point. But as far as other outcomes, the project is an independent project. So I did this all on my own, did the fundraising on my own. And one of the beautiful parts of doing research in that way, or doing sort of an exploration, is that I feel like the outcomes can kind of be melded and molded and changed as your project goes along. And so I do have a goal of, when I go back to the U.S., maybe doing something like a TED Talk, or trying to spread some of the information that I've learned while I'm abroad. But I'm still not quite sure what the best format is going to be, and I think it'll really depend on what ends up happening in the different countries I'm in, and where things end up going. But I do know that this will definitely especially affect me, I think, in terms of where I go next, because I'm not really sure what the next step is for me. If I should go back to school, if I should be, trying to get a job, if I should be starting some sort of organization or project. And so I hope, too, that this will maybe shed some light on an area or something that maybe I should be doing or should be helping to initiate back in the States, potentially. I also hope that this will help to create more global networks and information sharing and just things across countries, because it's so easy to sort of, especially when you're in the justice sort of sector, you get caught up in your community or your state or your country, and there's so many things to address in terms of like injustices and issues that looking across countries can be sort of hard to find both the time and funding. And so, I do hope that this will help to create maybe some more global knowledge building.
Oh, great. Have you got anything else to add? Like, did you want to say anything else?
If people are interested at all in following the project, or if they want to know more about it, they can either find the podcast on Facebook, which is Carceral Complex, or
what's that? Carceral Complex.
carceral complex. Or I do have a website also that helps to explain my project in greater depth. And that's Marlee's World Incarceration Exploration.weebly.com.
Oh, wow, cool.
So if people are interested, then they can find me there too, and sign up to receive sort of updates on all of this, because like I said, I do hope that people can gain some knowledge kind of across countries and even within their own country about like people within the space and what's going on, and kind of like what you all do. So but yep. I think that's about it.
Sure, thanks very much for coming and speaking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
We will not negotiate with minor state of title government or anyone on our culture, on our land. You know, if people say, oh, you're going to finish up with nothing, well then so be it. But at least our hearts will tell us that we did not sell out our country and our culture and heritage for a few scungy dollars.
Subscribe to 3CR so that your dollars support Indigenous voices and the struggle for land justice.
For Aboriginal people, the greatest grief of all is seeing the country destroyed. And somewhere along the line, we have to realise that we don't actually have the right to do that, that nothing we've ever done has given us the right to do that. Now, you know where I stand on this, because I'm so simple-minded. I think we've just got to admit that this is an Aboriginal country. Just do it.
And you're with 3CR's Doing Time show. I'm Pete. We're now going to play a recording of the Invasion Day rally on the 26th of January that Marlee kindly recorded. So we'll play that now.
Next, I'd like to welcome Uncle Tony Byrne, please.
Thank you. The first thing I want to do is thank Bill Nicholson so deeply for that welcome, and to thank all the Wurundjeri mob that are here behind us. When this government was established as a colonial government of the Empire, there is no way that the politicians in this House expected that the Wurundjeri people would be here today. All their attempts to massacre the Wurundjeri people and all other Indigenous people across Australia led to nothing but failure. These remarkable people have fought against colonial governments and Australian government in this country for 180 years. And what they have done is one of the great heroic histories of this country for Aboriginal people. And if there is anything to be pleased about, if there is anything to celebrate today, it's the fact that Bill Nicholson and his mob are here. So please thank them again. I also want to pay my sincere thanks to the warriors of Aboriginal resistance. A few years ago, older Aboriginal people, activists in this state, were thinking about and lamenting what would happen when people passed. What would happen when the activists of the 60s and 70s had passed, as many of them had. And there was concern about who would take up the struggle. Well, war has taken up that struggle remarkably. They have shut down this repeatedly, and they will do it again. Respectful young people, they always pay due respect to their elders, they always pay due respect to those that have come before them, but also they are making a space for themselves. They are listening with their own voices, and they are demanding to be heard at their own accord. And again, if we think there is something we need to get behind, there is something we can march behind, and if there is something we can be proud of, it's this young generation of Aboriginal people right across Australia. historical reminder and to make a suggestion. Again, in this building behind me, the politicians, the Premier in this building behind me, in 1886, enacted the infamous Half-Caste Act, what it called the Aborigines Act. And that act was to separate our community here in Victoria into a caste system of full-blood, half-caste, quarter-caste, and off-caste. This government expected as an outcome of that legislation to quote, by the end of the century there will be no Aborigines in this colony. The absolute defiance of that stupidity and that violence is on evidence here today. So all you non-Aboriginal people here, out here, what I want to suggest to you is if you think there is something you need to get behind, if you think there is a cause in this country that will protect country, protect land, please follow the lead of the Aboriginal people of this state. That we hold this event on another date. This country does not deserve a day of national celebration in any capacity. It's not mature enough to have a day of national celebration. And until people come to learn that the only leadership in this country is the leadership of our mobs right across the country, we should do nothing but continue to mourn this day, continue it as a day of solidarity, and continue it as a day to get behind the Aboriginal community. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome our Marlee owners. Today is about Abolish Australia Day. We're not here about Friendship Day. It is incredibly gaslighting for you to expect us to help you celebrate another day of Australia. How unfair! Stop the genocide first! We want truth and justice. We will not consider celebration until every single one of our brothers and sisters are out of those prisons. Every family who has had a child that died in custody. Justice! Let all those stoppers that killed them. We want sovereignty. We are here for our sovereignty. We're not here to help people find a day to celebrate. It is encouraging to know that this is the biggest event in this country today. And because we start telling the truth again and reigniting the fire, you have started to listen and walk with us today. And that is very encouraging. But let's tell the truth before good feelings. Let's put truth before good feel good. Let's tell the truth and justice. I want justice. I don't want to feel good about change today. I want justice for all of my people, every single one of them. And I will fight every single day for that. On any fucking Australia Day. Any day. Any day. You can stop your protest. I'll be there. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. 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 Thank you, Marlee. That was incredible. I think that's what we need to actually put in front of the day. We've organised this rally to abolish the day. Again, we have not organised this to change the day. We've organised this to abolish Australia Day. So fuck Australia. Fuck Australia. Let's fuck the birds. which we all stand, past and present, youth and the children going forward. Now, are we all fired up? Okay, please listen very carefully to what I have to say. Take it all in, please. British Empire, Commonwealth, the Queen, common law. Remember that? Common law. It all goes back to the common law. That's what started this big horrendous mess for all of us. Treason, a lawless government, domineering democracy, not our law. Engage more in lots of treaties. Treaties, not treaties. Treaties. More treaties. More treaties. We need to do a lot of work. We need to do a lot of work. This is going to be challenging and it's going to take a long process. Meeting in communities amongst ourselves. That's what's important. Not with the government. Not a government, democratic government that has failed the system. Not connecting and engaging with all communities. Women, Aboriginal First People need to take back the power! Leadership! Not a government rule of law. That gets the powers up and makes us feel like we are invisible and are running us to disappear. But we have always been here. And always will be. Sovereignty, who we are, where we come from, and where we belong. Land, the waterways, our culture, many conversations to be had. Change Australia Day, why? Because we cannot continue to celebrate a lie. Past history cannot continue to past history should never be put in the future. It needs to be healed, educated, and resolved for all of us. Please listen to us. Follow us for truth and justice going forward in unity for the youth and all the children. Thank you very much for coming.
Of the Aboriginal political movement. And speaking of the heyday of the Aboriginal political movement, on a day like this it's probably important to remember some of the history of the resistance on this day that goes way back. As a professor of history, I don't like drawing rank, pulling rank on your face, but my thing is history. I spent the first part of my life, like some of the young people here today, making history. Halfway through my life, I realised that white academic historians were distorting and presenting a false representation of the history that I had been told. That's what I did in later life. I was almost 50 years old when I went to the University of Melbourne and studied history. I I studied history at the University of Melbourne because that's where I considered some of the worst of the academic historians who were distorting our history. One of my mentors during that period of my life of studying spoke here earlier today. He's probably out there somewhere. Good on you, Tony Birch. But one of the reasons I studied history was to, like I said, start to present a more accurate representation of the history that I had been part of. And in the process of doing that, I came to understand much more about some of the history that had preceded me. In the late 1960s, early 1970s, with the great black uprising that started in Redfern and in Fitzroy, that led to the great renaissance, if you like, in the Aboriginal political resistance. Our heroes at that point in time were those who had gone before. The Jack Pattons, the Bill Onuses, the Marge Tuckers, who had been responsible for the 1938 Day of Mourning, when William Cooper established once and for all that Aboriginal people considered this day to be a day of mourning and invasion day. In 1972, a stupid Australian Prime Minister by the name of Silly Billy McMahon, luckily most of you people here today are too young to remember just what an incompetent fool Billy McMahon as Prime Minister was. He decided on Australia Day, Invasion Day, 26th of January 1972, to make a big grand statement about Aboriginal land rights. He said, "My government will never grant Aboriginal land rights." To say that on a day that was so sensitive to Aboriginal people was a stupid move on his part. And it led to that night in Canberra, 4 young men going down, setting up a protest on the lawns of Parliament House. Which we had Australian politicians shitting themselves, running for cover. Was like this. I can see it today. Look at the numbers right here today. The government cannot ignore this sort of protest. Marches like this in Melbourne in the late 1960s was against the Vietnam War, and those marches led to a change, not only in government, but in government policy. That's what we need to, if we keep mobilising these sort of numbers, governments cannot ignore us. Was the next time after 1972 when there was a resurgence in the Aboriginal resistance was on the occasion of the 200th anniversary of the invasion, the so-called bicentennial in Sydney, mostly based in Sydney. The bicentennial was seriously opposed by Aboriginal people from all over Australia. And on that day, in 1988, January 26, 1988, the biggest march of Aboriginal people in Australian history occurred in Sydney as in opposition to this day, to the celebrations that were going on as part of the bicentennial. So this day has got a strong thing in my memory. Oh, this was the last century still coming. This is extraordinary. This feeling that's here today. In 1938, the people who gambled were small gamblers, but they were idealists. They passionately believed in in their cause. In 1972, the numbers of people that were turning out in support of the Black Power movement were also idealists. People that believed in bringing about serious change in not only their own community, but in the broader Australian community. In the 1970s, the Black Power movement set up much of what we see today in terms of Aboriginal organisation, health services, legal services, things like that. But it's important not just to have an understanding of the dates in your memory as history, it's also important to think seriously about politics and history and how maybe some of those organisations that were created by the idealists are no longer run by idealists. And you've got to think about those nuances of history. You've got to educate yourself more about the whole history of the Aboriginal existence, because it will strengthen you. Whether you are a black Holiday today, or whether you are one of the numerous non-Aboriginal supporters here today, I urge you to learn more about the history of Australia. Learn why and how the first ever Aboriginal political organisation in this country was set up in 1924 by Aboriginal followers of Marcus Garvey. Now this is... So that you've got a great understanding next year when we turn out here, when 100,000 people turn out here next year. Is all about the history of the Aboriginal resistance has been. Again, I congratulate the organisers of this march. I can see standing up here on this truck the success of what has been organised for today. I congratulate not only the organisers, but every person here for turning up. And I'll see you all next year when we bring all your grandmothers and others with you, and we get 100,000 people here.
Marlee's always hard out the far. I haven't believed me. I've seen that many times. I was down here, I don't know if many of you people know, but yesterday this community also buried a legend too, and that was the reason that I came down here to pay my respects to a man that cast a very big shadow over this community and this country. So I would ask firstly that we have a minute silence for a legend from your community, Uncle Gilla McGuinness, please. Thank you, and thank you, Melbourne, for conceiving and having. his programs, his interviews that he came all the way to Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, wherever our mum were meeting. And it was a political issue that man was involved and on the forefront all the time. So thank you for the beautiful memories and for the legend of the man. And this legend will grow and you all learn more about the man and Doin and walk Doin Time. My reason for coming was his funeral. I'm also very proud today to stand with you mob here in this great southern city and think of all the communities and all the struggles and the battles we lead across this country. You mob rock. Our people know what the history is. We know what the situation is for our mob. We have our leaders. We chose them a long time ago. They were born. They weren't created by this vile, racist system that makes its money out of turning us against each other, creating division in the to tell this government, this country, we've told them many times, but one more, we'll get the band back together as they said at the Blues Brothers. This is our land. It's always been our land. It will always be our land. It is a virus, and it was as insidious as the chicken pox they introduced to us here. It will kill you if you let it. The virus is called racism. The virus is a sickness that makes people think they're better than other people. By virtue of money, stolen wealth, stolen gain. We all stand the same way, we all sit the same way, we all shake the same way. Nothing different about us. How different is our place and our time. This is our place. And this is our time. Now I'm here with a young woman that got grown up in the movement like I did. My children did more so than me. And she's called Lydia. And she's taken a new direction for our mom. We are the owners of this land. We are the caretakers of this land. We are the custodians of all use of money here, the magic, the secret, sacred sites. All of it belongs to us. You can have a party, you can play your role, but don't come here and tell us you know more than us or better than us, especially about this place. Clean the room, and that means cleaning out the viruses that keep reinfecting us, whether you call them politicians, I don't care. To me, they're traitors to a cause that is just and true. Our land, our people, our lives mean something. For you people to come out here and the numbers you have today, you justify. You are the reason that gives us voice into the tomorrows. Your support. You have the battle. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing. The battle deny history. Learn from the mistakes of history. Never to go on and build a land we can truly call our home for all of us.
No, it was recording from the Invasion Day rally on the 26th of January this year. We're out. We'll see you all next week. Marissa will be in. Take care, everyone.
You got to remember, NAIDOC's a special day for us, brothers. That's a reminder who we are.
Every year for NAIDOC Week, 3CR Community Radio gives voice to our Indigenous brothers and sisters through Beyond the Bars, Australia's only live prison broadcast.
I am a black man.
NAIDOC means a lot to me. It's about identity and also about past and present.
NAIDOC means a lot to me, for my family and my people.
And the people forgetting about our rights.
You can access audio from current and past Beyond the Bars broadcasts via the 3CR website. Go to 3cr.org.au/Beyond the Bars and either listen to or download audio from Australia's only live prison broadcasts.
Happy NAIDOC!
Such a pretty little white line we all walk down. It's like a trip from a city to a country town. And if you slip to the right side, you go down slow. Dig yourself deep into a great big hole. Hey kid, don't you go too fast. Your little heart is like a piece of glass waiting to be broken. Hey kid, it don't take too long, don't take long to walk on the wrong side of the tracks, on the wrong side of the tracks. When you're just 15, you don't care, don't give a damn what your mama just said. And you stay out late on a Saturday night, in a bus stop underneath a street light. Hey kid, don't you go too fast. Your little heart is like a piece of glass waiting to be broken. Hey kid, it don't take too long, don't take long to walk on the wrong side of the tracks, on the wrong side. Never get good till it's too late to turn back. Will your friends be there when you need them most? Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Hey kid, don't you go too fast. Your little heart is like a piece of glass waiting to be broken. Tracks on the wrong side of the tracks, walking on the wrong side of the tracks.
We will not negotiate with minor state of title government or anyone on our culture, on our land. You know, if people say, oh, you're going to finish up with nothing, well then so be it. But at least our hearts will tell us that we did not sell out our country and our culture and heritage for a few scungy dollars.
Subscribe to 3CR so that your dollars support Indigenous voices and the struggle for land justice.
For Aboriginal people, the greatest grief of all is seeing the country destroyed. And somewhere along the line, we have to realise that we don't actually have the right to do that, that nothing we've ever done has given us the right to do that. Now, you know where I stand on this, because I'm so simple-minded. I think we've just got to admit that this is an Aboriginal country. Just do it.
As long as you a true fella, as long as you a real fella.